SportsNoah.com previewing the finals of Louisiana high school football Friday and Saturday in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Lenny Vangilder with Ken Trahan. And Ken, you're our resident high school sports expert. And let's start with the first game on the card. Friday afternoon, 3 o'clock, 1A championship, the 1 seed Ouachita Christian against the 6 seed West St. John. Your thoughts?
Well, first and foremost, it's a very unfortunate time. You know, it's not a game that people are going to see because of the start time, and I'm not faulting the LHSAA. They had the 2A game at 5 o'clock previously, and they had to move this thing because these games were ending too late, and the scheduled start times were way behind on a regular basis. So I laud them and applaud them for separating the games by 4 hours. But a 3 o'clock start time on a Friday is a difficult proposition. I would suggest to you, Lenny, that they might be better off playing this game on Thursday night. Now, it's a short week for both teams, but it's the same advantage or disadvantage for both teams. At least being at night, you'd have a chance to get people to the game, and it would be a set-apart one-game format. They did this in Shreveport at Independence Stadium after Katrina when the championships were moved up there. I just think 3 o'clock's tough. As for the game itself, Ouachita Christian's been on a mission. They're 14-0. They got there last year and turned it over 10 times and lost the game to White Castle last year in the Dome. So they've been on a mission, and they've played like it throughout. They've averaged over 50 points in the playoffs. Mark Laird's a terrific player. West St. John is the one team that can stop them. They're extremely athletic. Their only losses were to a 5A school and a 4A school, O'Perry Walker and Bonneville. The 4A school, O'Perry Walker, the 5A school, Bonneville. They have really good athletes. They're tall. They got better in the weight room as well. Ronnie Feast, an LSU commitment, is quite a player. Kylan Favorite's been an outstanding running back for them. This is a really good matchup. If I had to hedge it all, I'd give a slight edge to OCS, Ouachita Christian.
And you got to believe that they've got the revenge, if you will, on their minds. Different opponent, but certainly, trying to avenge, if you will, what they did a year ago. We go to the 4A game, which will be the Friday nightcap. Terrific matchup. The local favorite Edna Carr, the 7 seed, who has been outstanding the second half of the season, against the 1 seed Neville.
Well, Neville won it 2 years ago in 4A. Carr was in there last year in 4A and lost in overtime, so no experience edge here. Neville has a great quarterback and playmaker. They can line up and just run it at you. They didn't even throw the ball in the second half of their win over Breaux Bridge on the road last week, and they were successful, and their defense is very good. Edna Carr's defense is very good. Their record is alive. They played a tough schedule early on, started with 3 out of 4 losses, and then they went to Devontae Knoll at quarterback, and he changed the entire season for them. Their defense kept playing well, but suddenly now they have a dual-threat quarterback that makes plays. And this defense for Carr's just shut people down in the playoffs. That's why they won. But Neville's pretty much the same way. And they are a team that everybody is pointing to as the team to beat. I'd give Neville a very slight edge, but I give Carr a real chance in this game.
We move ahead to Saturday, and the slate starts at 11 a.m. You mentioned the new start times this year, 11, 3, and 7 on Saturday. And the card starts with the 2A game, and chalk held here, 1 against 2, Curtis against Winfield.
Well, I don't have any problem with the 11 a.m. start. It's tough, but Curtis used to do this, as people might recall, in the 80s when they played the morning game on Saturdays at that particular time when there were 4 championship games and not 5, and they tried to play them all in one day. Curtis is clearly the favorite here. They've been there, done that. They were just absolutely overwhelming in just crushing Evangel last week. Could have beaten them worse, kneeled on the ball late. That's how good they were. They're that good up front on both sides of the football, taking the pressure off of their freshman quarterback, Abby Tuzat. Winfield is the one team physically that can match up with Curtis, or at least get on the field with them. They're big and strong, and there's a history there. 28 years ago, Winfield beat Curtis for a state championship. Of course, that was nearly 3 decades ago. I like Curtis in this game.
I agree there. As we move on, the middle game on Saturday, the Class 3A title game, St. Charles Catholic, the 2 seed, Amite, the 4 seed. Ought to be a great crowd with 2 Southeast Louisiana teams in there. Does Frank Monica finally get a state championship after so long here?
Well, it's going to be tough. I'm picking him to win, but this is going to be very tough for him. He's got his injured players back, but they're nowhere near 100%. Lizedrick Thompson, the Tulane commit, only had a couple of carries last week. And Marcus Hall is getting a little bit better, but he's wearing that bubble cast on his wrist. Still, their defense has been really good. Tremendous win over Parkview Baptist last week. Showed great character to come from behind in the fourth quarter to get it. These are the 2 teams I picked to make it before it all started, and here they are playing for the Superdome Championship. And as far as Amite is concerned, Alden Foster has got that program where Donald Career had it for so long, and the reason they're there is because they play great defense. They have shut down everybody throughout the playoffs. They have a tall quarterback who's very athletic that will give St. Charles Catholic some problems. If anything, I give a slight edge to St. Charles Catholic, like their kicking game too.
Last game of the card, 5A, 7 o'clock start, and West Monroe is back as a 5 seed, taking on the 7 seed Karen Crow.
This is a battle of wills, two very physical football teams. Karen Crow, the most physical, biggest team up front that you'll find. Last week, that 27-play drive for a field goal was something that I've never heard of in my entire life of covering football. But it illustrates who they are. They have Johnson, who's a tremendous, strong, physical back to play behind that big physical offensive line. And West Monroe is physical, as you know. So this is a battle of wills. They're going to pound each other. And it's going to be man against man, and whoever's strongest will win. I mean, this is a toss-up game. West Monroe is there every year, so they clearly have the experience factor. But Brett Indest is a great coach. This wing T offense is different. We'll give West Monroe a different look. Man, I'd tell you, I'd flip a coin on this game. If anything, maybe Karen Crow in a very, very close game.
You can find all of our staff's predictions at sportsnola.com. Coverage all weekend long on the site, as well as Ken will have broadcast coverage of 3 of the 5 state championship games on WGSO 990 AM. You can also hear it on WGSO.com and, of course, right here at sportsnola.com. Stay with us all weekend long for updates on the state high school championships.